Hello and welcome to another episode of X Interact with Eric and your host, Gaff, which is me. First things first, let's talk about the hottest, potentially biggest game of the year 2023, which is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which has been out for just a bit over a week. Now, sadly, I have not been able to play it. My Switch is currently not in my possession, and it won't be for another, maybe until Tuesday. Maybe I'll get it on Tuesday. But I'll tell you who has played it, and that's my man Eric here. So I guess it's mostly going to be me asking you about it and living vicariously through you. So just tell me, man, you've had this game for what, 8 days, 9 days? How's it been?
It's been pretty good so far. I know you're probably asking like more questions about it, but the general vibe of it is that it's like in my opinion, it's a better, bigger improvement over Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild, while I did have like a good time with it when it first came out, I really don't look back at it as like the greatest thing of all time. Even though I know it is like pretty influential, even like those couple years ago. There were just some things about it that I didn't really like how the story wasn't really all there. Kind of like some of the shrines there just kind of felt copy pasted, especially like the combat ones where you're just fighting like the Sheikah. Like the mini guardians, whatever they're called. I don't remember what they were called at this point. And like some parts of the world just kind of felt like a little empty. I want to say like a lot of it is just like Koroks and shrines you're looking for. Not really like maybe you'll have like some like points of interest here and there, but definitely I feel like Tears of the Kingdom improves a lot more on that. The shrines are definitely a lot more interesting this time around. I've done around, I want to say like I've done around 70 at this point, and which is a lot. I have to like.
Wait,
to
did
be
you say
honest.
7 or 70?
70. I've done 70 shrines at this point.
Okay.
And I don't even know how many are in the game. Like I heard someone tell me it's like more than Breath of the Wild at like 150 something, but I don't know if that was true or not. So I really need to know how many there are. But yeah, they're like a lot more interesting in my opinion. A lot of them are like utilizing puzzles from like your new abilities like Ultra Hand, like Recall, Ascend, all that kind of stuff. And you do have like a couple of them where you have to like battle the Zonai constructs, which are like the new replacement for the Sheikah Guardians, whatever. But like they're a lot more interesting. Like instead of you just fighting one Guardian thing, you're basically stripped of all your equipment, and you have to like fight these group of constructs in like a specific way. And like when you walk into the shrine, it'll give you like a little hint at the theming basically. And so like one of them I did last night was based around using recall to basically have the bombs are thrown at you to send them back at them while you have no armor on, and you're just using like sticks for weapons. And it's just like little, it's pretty interesting like
Sheesh.
how these shrines are. And like people are finding like different solutions to the shrines, like a lot like no one person is gonna have the same exact way of solving a shrine. Like you can look on online, people will just give you different solutions to like these shrines. Like there's one that I don't like, a lot of people I see are posting online where you have to you have to like grind on a rail, but what you're given is like a piece of like board, like a board, where you have to have it grind on two rails and have it transition onto one rail without having the board fall off. And so I see a lot of people like doing like crazy ways to do it. The way I solved it was I had the flat board, then I basically put fins on the bottom, where so I have two fins on the side and then one in the middle, and so it just goes up, and then once it transitions to the single rail, it's caught on the fin in the middle. I've seen people
Oh.
do a lot of different things. Like they just completely ignore the boards, and they use fans, which you're supposed to use the fans to propel the board forward. People just use the fans to propel themselves up and then glide to the end. I've seen people use mine carts attached to their shields to grind the rails. It's crazy stuff in this game, man. Like this game is crazy creative.
You mentioned story earlier. So has that been fixed, or is every other aspect of the game making up for the story?
So I don't want to really get into too much details about that because like spoilers and stuff like that. Um, I will say that it is more interesting to me, in my opinion, than like how Breath of the Wild was. Because in Breath of the Wild, it was like basically all memories. Like none of it was really happening like in real time. Um, Tears of the Kingdom, you still have memories. I'm gonna say that, but like those memories are a lot more interesting than in Breath of the Wild. In Breath of the Wild, you would have like a memory that just like two characters talking or something like that. I don't know, not really much going on. In Tears of the Kingdom, there's a lot more happening there. Um, I will say that the one thing I don't like about it is that you can possibly see them out of order. And I saw like one
Mm.
of the last ones early on, and I was like, oh, well, shit. I kind of know where this plot is going now, kind of. And so I was like, damn, I really wish I didn't see that one. And like, apparently there's an intended order which I completely missed. So I don't even know. But like, yeah, if you're like doing the memories, just beware that you can see them out of order, and it kind of I don't want to say it ruined the story moment, but like it was like I was already expecting it basically. I was like, oh okay, I kind of saw where this is going early on, but
That's
um
interesting then that
but
they allow you to see it
yeah,
out of order.
it's a little weird. I really wish they just like did it where you can like go to anyone, but like it'll still give you like still give it to you in like the intended order.
Yes,
It
yes.
was a little weird, but there's that, yeah. Um, there's also like you're kind of the same like in Breath of the Wild. You have to go to the four different regions of the map to investigate the areas. I've done three out of the four areas, so I've almost done with that side of the main quest. I don't know if there's any more after that. I want to assume there is because I kind of feel like there's still a lot that I'm missing in the game. But then again, I just been out exploring, doing side quests and stuff like that. Like I said, 70 shrines done out of like 100 something. So there's that.
Yeah, and do you have any idea about the breakdown between just story and side stuff that you've done? We have no idea whatsoever.
uh, it's tough because I don't know like what happens after I finish investigating the four regions. I don't know if like it's immediately like oh go to the final area like in Breath of the Wild where like after you beat the four divine beasts it's immediately go to Hyrule Castle. I don't know if that's a similar thing happening here. Like I don't know what exactly happens after that. I have one more to go, so I'll see eventually, like sometime this week. But like even then, there's still like a lot more to this game that I haven't really touched yet. Like I don't really want to spoil it, even though it's been like kind of mentioned in reviews and stuff, and like even Nintendo's Twitter posted. Well, should I even do it? Nintendo Twitter posted about it before, so I mean, like, is it even a spoiler at this point? I don't know.
Your choice, man.
Because like I know Steven, for example, he didn't get a lot of time to play it, and like it's an early thing too. It's not really like a spoiler, but it's like a thing that Nintendo didn't really market until after the game got released. So I don't even know. Other reviews talk
Up to
about it
you.
too. You
You can
haven't
reap the
touched you
consequences.
haven't touched upon. Okay, whatever.
I I
It,
won't hold it against you.
it's not a story spoiler. It's not a story spoiler. It's like a mechanic thing. But this game's fucking huge. There's a whole underground section, like the depths. It's literally as big as Hyrule itself. And it's just like I've barely touched exploring it. I'm just like, what the fuck? There's so much here. I haven't even really. I've gone down there a couple times to get like resources because there's like a lot of good resources down there. But like, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface. Haha, with the depth there.
Nice.
And like, there's like a little and like even then, like there's like side quests too. There's like two definitions of it. There's like side quests, or there's like your basic side quests, like yo, go get me these go get me like 5 fish or some shit like that. And then there's also a thing called side adventures, which are basically like bigger side quests where like they're kind of like more storyish kind of I want to say. And so like for example, if you remember Terrytown in Breath of the Wild where that town you have to like build up on your own, there's a little side adventure you can do there and it's like a little heartwarming and stuff like that. Um and yeah, I kind of feel like a lot of those side adventures, while they're not like required for the main story, a lot of them do follow up on things like that happen in Breath of the Wild. So it's pretty like kind of interesting to like see how to do those and see like how the world has evolved after like all these years.
Um so obviously the big thing about this game and Breath of the Wild is just playing it however you want, right? The game doesn't really give you a guiding hand. The whole world is your oyster. And that's never been more true for this game because from what I'm seeing with the ability to fuse, you can almost break the game in that you can literally invent something that can get you where you need to go. regardless of where you're at in the story. So I want to ask you, like, how does this game does it drive the creative juices in you? Because for me, who is very unimaginative when it comes to crafting, for example, in Minecraft, like I'm people build amazing houses in Minecraft, and I just build a dirt house, like a 3x3 cube. Um, do you feel like a genius when playing this game or no?
So yeah, you like mentioned kind of like Minecraft real quick about like building houses and stuff like that. And like when I used to play Minecraft with my friends, that was actually like one of my favorite things to do, just like build a house. And I'll be like, okay, we're gonna this section's gonna be like the main hall, this section's gonna be the kitchen, this is gonna be the bedrooms up here, stuff like that. Um, and so like I kind of feel I didn't even think about it until you mentioned Minecraft, but now that I think about it, I kind of feel like that like kind of works into like Tears of the Kingdom now, where I'm not making like the crazy contraptions you see on Twitter. Like people are making mechs, people are making like flying fortresses, things like
Yeah.
that. People are freaking crucifying Koroks and stuff like that. It's just so funny. But I'm making like some like basic stuff. Like they still work. Like I showed like on our Discord early on in the game, I was like, what if I attach a barrel bomb to my shield? Is that a good idea to do that? And so I was like, and what if I shield surf with it on? So I did that, and I basically did like a rocket jump, but like I didn't have my glider yet,
Nice.
and so I
Oh.
just died from fall damage.
Just
I was like, huh. Well, now I know how that. Now I know what that results in. Um, so there's that.
Now
I
you know
bi-
how the Wright brothers felt.
yeah. I was low on like so there's these things called Zonai devices, which is like all the crazy like modern stuff you see. So that's like the stuff like the fans, the wheels, the rockets, stuff like that. I was like, I don't have my horse nearby, and like I need to travel somewhere. So I was like, I have a wheel, I have a control stick, but if I put a single wheel can't be balanced easily. And I was like, what if I put a stabilizer on the wheel though? Because like there's like a little item you can put on the things that'll like basically keep it upright. And so I basically made like a little mini moped, and it was just like Link driving around on like on top of the wheel with the steering wheel with a stabilizer on the side. And I was like, it's not perfect because like it likes to to veer in one direction or the other, and so it was a little hard to control. But I was like, hey, it
It goes
works.
straight.
No, it doesn't, can't go
Yeah.
straight at all. But I was like, hey, it works. And then like stuff like that, like flying machines. Obviously, like I've put fans on a glider, hot air balloons, rockets, stuff like that. Like a lot of that stuff where I'm like, how can I get up there? How can I get up to this mountain a lot easier than climbing? Let me put let me get like a plank of wood, a hot air balloon, a flame emitter, and then two rockets on the side. So then when you activate it, the rockets will just shoot you up real quick. They'll disengage because they have like limited fuel or whatever, and then I'll just take the hot air balloon the rest of the way up. And like a lot of like these creations, like you can like feel very smart about it, especially in the shrines. I want to say because like I said earlier, sometimes I'll do the shrine and I'll be like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? And other times I'll be like, I'm a fucking genius. This worked.
So, have you ever been stumped yet? Has there been a point where you tried to get to this place or solve this puzzle, but you just couldn't? Or do you feel like there's always been a way?
Most of the time I feel like it's always been a way. There was like one shrine where I was like I couldn't figure it out, and only because like I was looking in the wrong spot. I was like, because like it was like a shrine where I like get like it was like a high like a high roof that you had to get up to, and I was like, how the heck do I get up there? And so it gives you like two springs or whatever, and I'm like, okay. I attach the two springs together to give me more height. I activate it. I jump up, and like I don't see any way forward. I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do here? Only to find out that I was jumping in the wrong spot. So that was like the only time I felt really dumb. Everywhere else, I felt like pretty like it was pretty straightforward on what you're supposed to do and stuff like that. And then the open world stuff, like a lot of it is like pretty. I don't want to say basic or like obvious because like, but like I feel like the shrines are like a lot easier to notice this time around because like, they all have like a little green swirl going on top of them, so you can like kind of see them in the distance. There are some where I'm having problems finding where my detector is going off, and I cannot for the life of me find them because they're in caves. Like if you didn't, I didn't know this mention this before, but like besides the underground section, the depths in this game, there are also like caves in the surface, and so like it's a lot like there is a lot more changes to this map, and like a lot of things are a lot more different. Like if you played Breath of the Wild beforehand, this game is probably gonna. I don't want to say it's gonna seem unrecognizable, but there are a lot of things different going on here, and like yeah, trying to find like the entrances of those caves to find the shrine is a little bit annoying. But other than that, it's like it's like pretty still fun to do it because like you can like travel around like all these crazy machines with ultra hand. It's pretty fun.
So I'm glad that you mentioned Breath of the Wild. So we can kind of bring it around to this. The question that's been on everyone's mind since this game's been announced is how different is this from Breath of the Wild? Does does Tears of the Kingdom justify itself enough to be a whole new game and not just to be cynical about it, like an update to the previous game? Um, does it stand on its own?
I'm gonna say yes for that. I'm gonna say that Tears of the Kingdom makes Breath of the Wild like a tech demo, like a beta.
Shit.
Like it's a lot. It's like insane how much they improved upon it. Like the 6 years they spent developing on this game makes sense now because like they had to QA like every fusion combination that you can do for your weapons and shields. They had to QA like Ultra Hand to make sure everything doesn't like break when you do it. Like the only frame, like even then, like the performance is like been pretty steady. Like the only times I have frame drops is like when I'm using like Ultra Hand and like just like banging shit together just to make it like work and stuff like that. Like early on in the game, I was like, there's like an icy like mountain I had to climb up. I was like, how the heck do I get up there? So my solution was like, there's a bunch of trees around. Let me just chop them down, make like a log bridge. And so I had like 6 logs attached together, and like that's when like the frame rate started to drop a bit. But I was like, it may kind of make sense. The Switch is kind of like is a little bit like aging, but at the same time, like
No kidding.
the things this game does, you're just like, how the fuck is this running on the Switch? Because
So
like,
is oh yeah, continue.
yeah, because like you can like fuse stuff together with Ultra Hand, uh, ascend. I barely mentioned like as long as you have a ceiling above you, you can like ascend and like it'll take you to the other side of the ceiling and it doesn't break. It's like no glitches happening. Like you would expect it to like I don't know like when you get out of the top to like be launched or something. It just works. It literally just works. And then recall, literally the game keeps track of like anything around you. It keeps track of like the path it took, and you can recall it at any time to like bring it back basically. And so like a lot I'm just like, how the fuck is this happening in the Switch? It's
Yeah,
insane.
that sounds like magic, man.
It does. Yeah.
So is fusing, does it carry this game that hard? Is does your verdict on Tears of the Kingdom hinge on fusing, or is it more than that?
So I think it's more than that, but like those main powers, like it like the stuff in Breath of the Wild, like stasis, magnesis, and the bombs, and I forgot what else there was. Like you don't have those at all anymore in Tears of the Kingdom. You just have these new
Hmm.
powers, and like Ultra Hand is basically an upgraded magnesis. It works on everything. Doesn't have to work on anything metallic. You can use it to fuse stuff, whatever. It's basically a straight up upgrade for that. Stasis is or not stasis. Recall is kind of similar to stasis, but not really at the same time. You can't stop stuff in midair. It'll just like send it back in time and stuff like that. But I kind of feel like these powers are a lot more interesting than what was in Breath of the Wild, that's for sure. But even then, like even without the powers, I kind of feel like all these new improvements, all these new additions to Tears of the Kingdom just make it a lot better. Like I said, the story is definitely more interesting this time around. Verdict is still out on that because I haven't finished it yet. Obviously, the world is insanely bigger. With you have Hyrule, the surface, and then you have the Sky Islands, and then you have the underground depths, and it's just like a lot more in there as well. Like I said before, the shrines are a lot better this time around. I feel like they use the mechanics a lot better than Breath of the Wild did. And then like kind of feel like the side quests I've done so far have been like better too. I didn't really do a lot of side quests in Breath of the Wild to be honest because like they just didn't really interest me. A lot of them they weren't marked on the map, and like granted, they're not marked on the map either on Tears of the Kingdom. Like It's not like a like you talk to an NPC and they're like, "Oh, hey, go over here." You have to like read the journal entry, read what they're saying, and like figure it out from there. I kind of feel like more incentivized to do that this time around, and so like try to figure out where stuff is, and so a lot of that is like a lot more interesting. And yeah, I like so it's just this game. I feel like is a lot more interesting and fun than Breath of the Wild definitely was.
And so the final question that I'll pose to you is, this is probably your game of the year so far, right? And will this be your game of the year once Game Awards comes around in December? So just as a refresher, I'll list off some pretty good games that have come out this year, which you may or may not have played, but everyone knows about them. So we got Fire Emblem Engage, we got Forspoken, we got Hi-Fi Rush, Hogwarts Legacy, Metroid Prime Remastered, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Dead Space Remake. It's the year of remakes, apparently. Um, and more games that I'm sure I'm forgetting right now. Plus, we have games like Final Fantasy 16, which I know for a fact that you're gonna just gush about, and obviously the elephant in the room, Starfield. Some eventually this year, knock on wood. How do you feel this game stands up to things that have come before and things that will come out in the future?
Okay, so literally like literally like 2 weeks before Tears of the Kingdom came out, I was playing Jedi Survivor, finished that story, and I was
Yeah.
like, damn, this is probably like my game of the year so far. Because like, despite the technical issues of that game, which I'm pretty might have been ironed out by now, I haven't gone back to it yet ever since I beat the story. But like that game was like that game definitely was a good follow up to Fallen Order. Definitely, like the graphics in that game are spectacular. Like that game looks really fucking good. And I was playing on performance mode too, and even then, performance mode
Nice.
wasn't performing well either.
Yeah. It's not a solid 60 for sure.
That's for sure. But it was still like a good looking game. And that game just like the story was really good. The gameplay was just like a good refinement from Fallen Order. And like I would have said that was my game of the year so far. But then Tears of the Kingdom was like smacking it out of the way, and it's like, yo, I am genre defining. Like we all asked when they first revealed Tears of the Kingdom, like when they was announced as untitled sequel to Breath of the Wild. We're all like, how are they gonna top Breath of the Wild? Like, what can they do to make it better? Like, what Nintendo made a genre defining game in Breath of the Wild, and then they one upped it with Tears of the Kingdom, and now it's just like what the hell are they gonna do next after this? Like literally, well,
Yeah.
well,
Zelda
I
3, who
literally can't
knows?
even know what they're gonna do next. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
my god.
And so yeah, so far, um, I need to see like
What
how the
about the
story plays out because I'm a big story guy to be honest. But so
Yeah, they
far,
could
like
fumble the ending.
yeah, gameplay wise, I'm like this is like game of the year. Story wise, I'm not sure yet. I have to like see more. But yeah, this is definitely like up there. That's for sure. Like it's already like so far like the top three I would say are like Jedi, uh, and like in no particular order either. Like I don't even know the order yet, but like Jedi, Survivor, Zelda, and then Fire Emblem Engage. And like Fire Emblem is like another one where I just like love it a lot because of the gameplay. Story wise, it was like okay, it's whatever. But like that, I
Yeah.
had like a lot of fun time playing that early January. But then I kind of, but then like you said, Final Fantasy 16 is next month, literally. And so
Yeah, where's
like
that gonna slot in?
I feel like it's gonna slot in high. I really hope it does. I know it's like really soon too, and like Naoki Yoshida said we should be getting a demo soon. It's probably we're gonna get into it later, but like it's probably gonna be announced at PlayStation Showcase, hopefully. But we'll see where that lands. But like so far, Zelda is definitely like top tier. I honestly think it's probably gonna win Game of the Year at the Game Awards either way because like of like what it does and like how defining it is. And I'm just like so surprised and like how the team Nintendo just won up themselves with Breath of the Wild. I'm like going on and on again at this point, but yeah, the developers out there are even like, how the hell is the Switch handling this game? How is this How is this running on a Switch? And it's just like, yeah, this is like insane. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna
And
say. I have a lot more to
imagine what they
say,
could
but
do.
I'm just keeping it there.
Very well said. I envy you. I envy the millions, apparently 10 million people.
Oh
Was it
yeah,
10 million? No.
yeah, no,
Or is
yeah.
it
They said 10
1
million
million?
copies were sold within, I believe, that first weekend.
Yeah, I envy every one of them for having the game and playing it.
Yeah, it's the fastest selling Zelda game ever. And so like I'm wondering like, is this gonna beat out Breath of the Wild? Like I think Breath of the Wild is like at 30 million. I want to say. I don't even know. I don't know the exact number, but like it's high up there.
Well, they're a third of the way there, and it's only been a week old, so I'd say they're on pace.
Yeah, if you
Well,
haven't checked out Tears of the Kingdom yet, I would say go play it, go check it out. $70 Nintendo's first $70 game. A lot of people were
worth
kind
it.
of like skeptical about it, but yeah, it's definitely worth it. That's for sure.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing your very, very pleasant thoughts on Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.